sisters.
Girlfriend.
No.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay. Hey y'all, welcome to our third episode. We are excited just about what we have been told to do and what we're doing with our sister girlfriends. For those who do not know, I am Brittini Palmer.
I am Tiffany Burch.
I'm Amanda Washington.
And we are the Sistah
Girlfriends.
Girlfriend.
So we're talking about everything that we have experienced as Black women, but we're centering the show Girlfriends, right? So a lot of things in those episodes and those shows that we just look at now, like, yo, we really going through this now, and we didn't realize it back in the day because we were girls, we didn't experience a lot of life, so we experienced some life,
right?
But now we want to talk about it. And we know one thing that many of us have experienced is being undervalued in the spaces that we enter. So we're going to talk about that today. And hopefully together we can get to new places.
A very educated woman, but highly educated in her field, top in her field. And she's still not given recognition in the boardroom. Not given the recognition, still overlooked. And she's also the only woman too. So what I see is just men having
the only Black woman.
It was the only Black woman.
Yeah.
Fighting for her voice, fighting to be heard.
Right. And it's so sad that you gotta fight for something that you were given freely, like, to use. Like, it's very sad that she has to fight for her voice to be heard.
Mm-hmm. And to feel seen and heard. Mm-hmm. And she ain't getting none of that. They just blatantly over talking, having a little conversations or whatever. First of all, there's no diversity in that workspace. So if there's no diversity, it's just monolithic. So yeah, y'all gonna talk about what y'all talk about, because all y'all got the same parts and all y'all got the same hearts. So y'all gonna do that.
I was sitting around tables that looked just like that when I was in corporate America. And an environment like that can turn you into something that you never prayed to be. Like,
say that.
Like, it can turn you into someone that you become like a part of the system. And even in that boardroom, it wasn't just Joan fighting for something. It was like everybody fighting for something. Unfortunately, right? It's easier for everybody else. Like, it's easier for everybody else. And you will say something, you will start to think you crazy sometimes. Like, when it keeps happening, because it's like, is it me? Like, is it me that, is this why they can't hear what I'm saying? You start taking all these classes on best approaches and leadership approaches to situations. And sometimes you don't need to go to those things. It's because of the environment. It's like we always try to find ways to justify this treatment.
I'll talk about the classroom or a meeting or whatever. I'm gonna say classroom because we all was in that environment at McAfee. So you be in the class, you be in that environment, you'll say something, like you drop a good nugget, bomb, and that joint just get brushed past.
Yeah,
mediocre white boy can say anything, and it's just, and everybody expound upon that one sentence he just said. So you'd be like, damn. Yeah. Am I tripping? Maybe that wasn't as dope as I thought it was.
You're not tripping. You tripping.
You're not tripping, B.
We even do it to each other. And, I can't even say that I'm innocent in this, like, because when I walked into certain spaces and when I started to, like, just become a part of the system, then I was basically working for the system. So I did it to other Black women and other people. And it may have not been as blatant, right, as we hear, or the microaggressions we hear. It may have not been like that, but it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yo, it's so easy for us to do it to other people and we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
You know, our other Black women. And, we think, oh, because I'm a Black woman, it's nothing. But yeah, we do it to each other. We walk past each other. We don't see each other sometimes. We barely see ourselves.
Yeah. That goes into worthiness. Like you're giving inventory of what they're saying. Is it valid? Is it truthful? Sometimes based off their appearance, based on how they talk, or it could be based off anything, our own perceptions, our social locations. But when they speaking, sometimes we're just like evaluating, do I want to hear it or don't I? So I definitely have been guilty of that as well.
For me, it came out of, I'm in this space and I know something's not right. And I know that I'm smart and I know I have great ideas and I need somebody to hear them. But so does the sister next to me.
Yep.
But we're both in this situation trying to figure it out, when sometimes we don't need to figure out the mess that we in because it's mess. Sometimes we got to band together and say, hold on, sis, you see what's going on here?
Expound upon that. I really want to hear
like
more.
so sometimes we can be in corporate America, we'll be around these boardroom tables and kitchen tables, whatever it is, and we know like something may not be right. So the clip that we just saw, right, like she knew she said what she said and someone else said it and they heard it. But she knows she's smart. She knows she's brilliant. She knows that she can help this company, right? She knows that she could be senior partner. Like she knows this. But we sometimes walk in these spaces knowing this and also understanding that holds true for the Black woman sitting next to us. Right. And sometimes we don't communicate where we're like, yo, sis, you see what's going on here?
Yes.
This is what I'm trying to do to make it. Like, so what are you trying to do? And that's not always going to work out, right? Everyone ain't trying to do that, but I'm saying, how often do we hold each other's hands? I think we live into this idea that I have to go first. So when I get there, then I reach back and get you. And then just keep repeating cycles instead of saying, okay, let me try it differently. Yeah. I don't need to get there first.
Let's go in there.
How about we get there together?
Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, when do we get to the place where we get all about me and forgetting about like holding someone's hand and bringing it with us? Like, when does that divisiveness kick in?
Yeah.
I think that sometimes we have to also like be aware of the spirit of competition that is often manifested in these spaces, not maybe intentionally but unintentionally, right? That this fear of letting go, like, oh, this person is going to be better than me, or this person is going to outshine me, or they do whatever the case may be. Like sometimes I think environments plays a spirit of competition between women or either people of color that work in these same spaces, especially when it's very few that work in those spaces. I always have to remind myself, if I see someone that comes, another woman, like, be aware of the things that are manifesting around, and how sometimes that can be used against us. Say, well, hey, we're gonna put them against one another, and it's kind of tricky how these things happen, but it happens. And if you're not aware of it, I feel like it'll become where it takes over and we don't see it. and we began to look at the wrong person as the enemy, or we began to identify the wrong person as the problem, when really it's not the person that's things that are working behind the scenes that we have to be revealed. I just looked at Joan like the first. I don't know if anybody else caught it, but when she was sitting there and like they cut her off, she looked up and she looked at William, right? Like she looked at him like she was like, did you just see what happened? Like, I don't know, but I do that too, y'all. If it be somebody else, but it's like,
for an 8-man corner.
Looking like for that 8-man corner, you be looking like, did you just hear what I heard? Like, she didn't look at nobody else. And the thing about it, she didn't even look at the other woman that was next to her. She looked at someone like in her race, someone like, okay, you cannot
look to her friend because we're her friend.
Right. And so then he added, but not to go on deep, but when I saw that and she did that, it even let me know that sometimes we're not even, like Black men don't even experience the same thing that Black women experience in these spaces.
The Black man, he's in that room. He's already he doesn't know, really suffering. He's still privileged. He is still privileged in that moment, in that space. Yo, Karen even they didn't have her back. Seriously.
Not Karen, though. Not Karen.
Nobody have her back. Believe Black women. I feel Joan. Do you think her kirking off in that meeting was validated? Was she, in the right or in the wrong for doing that? Like, would you have done that in real life?
Is that the way she expressed herself? Like what she said wasn't wrong, but the delivery could have taken people off. As we already know, as with Black women, we're emotional. Women, period, we're aggressive. We're all of these things, and I think that sometimes that doesn't excuse the fact of how she felt, and what she was saying is very valid and real. But sometimes I wonder, like, the delivery, was that the right way to do it in that time? But at sometimes in points too, you got to do what you got to do, because they did listen. But even then, it just kind of ticked me off, because he passed it off, said, "Oh, I should have told you she was having one of her like women days." What does that mean? Like, what does that even mean? I learned from Joan, because sometimes I think that we have a lot of good to say, and what she was saying was very valid, but was it received due to the delivery of it? Did really what she was trying to converse, did it really get heard? And I know, from me watching the entire episode, that at a point, there was a point that her and William did have a conversation. And, he kind of explained that world, is it right? And it bothers me, because I feel like, why do we have to also alter who we are to fit in this type of world? Why can't the world alter to be able to include us? If that makes sense.
Sometimes we do have to be mindful on how we deliver a message, because I think how you deliver a message leads to how God can use that moment, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I believe that. Mm-hmm. But if we're talking about this situation, and this is probably more personal than anything, right? I'm like, these companies and these organizations and these spaces and our families and our friends and those who claim to love us sometimes want us to take our beat down quietly, in a way where, if we do pop off, if we do get emotional and aggressive, that's unheard of. Don't do that. Now you're stepping outside these boundaries I didn't put up, or not boundaries, I'm sorry, these walls I have put up. And now you're stepping out of line. No, you're stepping out of line now, and now it's a problem. And then you have to deal with these companies who write up these codes of conduct and these ways of being in the workplace that sometimes go totally against our emotions, because we have to deal with these toxic and violent spaces. And it's in so many different rooms. That's why I'm into, at this point, I need to create different spaces, but being careful. like being careful, because sometimes people will create a space out of this space, create a space out of this space, and it's still toxic, right? So yeah, I think delivery matters. I do. But also how delivery is received matters too.
And I'm thinking about when you said how we have to remain this particular way in this space, even though we're received with like this type of violence and this microaggression. And I can totally relate. Like the last job that probably I remember being in the work environment, but I didn't want to have that angry Black woman, you know, taupe on my head. So I didn't want to kirk off or lash off. So so I was very passive with the situation. And when I felt like I had every right to like go in and give this person a piece of my mind in this workspace. And I was talking to, you know, my counselor about that. And she was like, you know, that's not your thing to take on. Your feelings matter. You need to honor how you're feeling in that moment, in that space. So, you know, don't take on what society they don't want you to be the angry Black woman. And sometimes I think society, and I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but sometimes I feel like society knows about that angry Black woman trope and try to push your buttons to see if you're going to go there. And either because it's a win-win, either you go there or you don't go there, and you know they still, you know, get their point across and your voice isn't heard if you don't go there. But if you go there, then you're seen as see, I told her she's just this is an angry Black woman. So that goes back to what you said, delivery does matter. You know, how to express, and I got a problem with that because I'm an emotional person. I don't know how to express myself. Well, I'm still learning how to express myself in a way where my voice is heard and it's not too much fire and too much heat in there, but it's just in a way where you hear me, but you need to hear me.
I think delivery of man comes in different for everybody though, because when your passion show up, there's things I can't deliver right because I'm not very knowledgeable on it, and I ain't that passionate about it to deliver it that well. But when it comes to something that you passionate, like I bet you could tell us all day about painting and stroking and how to do the whatever you're passionate about in the arts and the culture. I think it shows up. When I was in a seminary, there's a student. He used to always say, if we bring it up as Black people, it's a complaint, but when a white person said it, it's a concern. And I think I got into it. Christian Ingram said that. He said that it was really good.
I saw that on social media.
Yeah, he said that, and it always registered to me because the thing is like she said, "Come on, back me up," and the lady was like, you know, like, and I like, I ain't got nothing to do with that, and it makes me wonder like what difference would it make if she had said something. But it also bothers me because if she had said something that made a difference, it just goes back to show us the kind of world that we live in, right? And it bothers me, it irritates me. This man, she was sitting down, he gonna ask her to get up. Is that ethical? Yeah, he a guest, but I just feel like it just irritates me to see that whole scene just irritated me.
It's like you trying to test my games, like you punking me. Can you get up for the guest? No.
And it was like something that it was, you didn't even have to think about it. You know, don't, you know, it's okay. She'll be okay. You know, like you didn't have to think about it. We have to maneuver our language and our body and our delivery all the time. All the time. And then we have to question ourselves sometimes. We question ourselves often because we're walking into these spaces that are not seeing us or appreciating us or valuing us. So I think for me, I'm not here to give any, you know, answers to these universal questions. But one thing, you know, it's okay to not walk into some of these spaces. You know, I saw someone say this, and I don't know who it was, but it was saying, Black women, we have options. We have options. Sometimes we can't see our options. Sometimes we can't see them. We haven't been introduced to some of our options. We learn on our journey. But, if anything, I want you to be who you are. Your delivery, if it's connected to who you are, then let people see that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want my delivery to be connected to who I am.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm right now in my life where I am. And I think at one point I felt like I had to think about my delivery before I got into this meeting and have my notes ready and be ready, prepare, the first one there. Like, I did feel like I had to do that. And I don't want any person who may be hearing this that has to do that to feel bad, right? Like, that's not my point. I'm telling you where I am.
Right.
I just refuse to do that. And that's okay too. But I mean, if your delivery is connected to who you are and how you feel, and your intentions being genuine and authentic and who you are, because who we are, there's something special about who we are.
Because in them, they might, that passion, that whatever, that authenticity may be needed in that moment.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, I get it. Delivery, I get being ready, I get being mindful of who's in the room. But it's a journey. We learning. But it's okay to be who you are. Because these people in these corporate rooms and the people who don't know who they are will make you feel like it's a problem. But I think because I'm closer to who I am, like, that doesn't bother me. Like, when women come in a room who may be loud or quiet or in the corner or reserved, it's like, that's who they are. That's who they are right now. And I'm comfortable with it. I mean, it was a point when I wasn't, though. Like, it was a point when a woman who walked in the door who knew who she was, when I didn't know who I was, it bothered me. It bothered me. And there were so many people like me in corporate offices and around tables and classrooms and churches.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we got to start thinking about that and stop thinking about what we always need to change. Not saying we there's not room to grow. Like, you have to learn every single day. But, sometimes.
I feel you. And, I'm with that. Be your authentic self. But I was in that meeting too, like, the word bitch, I was about to call her a bitch, like, right there, me in it. So that I need, like, it literally, but it was the Holy Ghost.
Shut your mouth.
But that beat was on the tip of my tongue.
You would have gave her something to think about.
That was too much, man.
But no.
On a podcast, how it's this woman anchor. She's a female sportscaster. So if you're a sportscaster, then you surrounded by, it's a male dominated field or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they asked her on that podcast, like, what it's like, basically. And she said, I mean, as a woman, you got to use all of your assets, basically. Don't be ashamed to be feminine, to be in that divine feminine moment, or to use your emotions and to use that. She said, because, they like to, this society like to weaponize our emotions and like to make it seem like it's bad to have feelings. You have intuition. We naturally have intuition. She said, use that. So when I saw Joan lean in, okay, you using your assets. One day it might work, one day it might not, So, and I'm just mad that they made it seem like it was it was something that didn't work. But men use their assets all the time, So I don't think what she did was, how she tried to spin it at the end. I don't think that was a bad thing.
I think that is true. Because, in these spaces, like I said in the beginning, where everybody's fighting for something, You know, and unfortunately, we say play the system and do what you have to do to get what you got to get. And I think about Black women that I know personally who they need a check because they have children and they need a check in a week. So they got to get this money. Now, that's dangerous, right? It can be dangerous to do that, but you got to understand the world we in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, you got to understand the world we in.
Mm-hmm.
It's dangerous.
I'm thinking about biblical times, okay? And when you read the King James Bible, you know how they describe a woman in the Bible who, you know, decides to use her body to make money, and they, you know, call her a harlot or call her, you know, harlot, basically, because that's all you see in the Bible. She's not a harlot; she's an entrepreneur. Like, especially if she she don't got no son, she don't got no husband. Like, that was the only option for her at that time. That was the world that she was in. So she had to use what she got. But they, you know, demonize. I mean, somebody paying for it. Like, she ain't in business and she ain't, it's not like she started this business and not making no money. So, you know, supply and demand for her goods. So,
they get so mad about the world that they keep recreating. So mad you trying to demonize this sister, but you're not demonizing the CEO. You're not demonizing people who's taking millions from Black women on the backs of Black women. Demonize them. Demonize some other stuff, and then come back around the corner. How about you do that first? Like, and they want to start with Black women,
then come back around, right?
You come back around, and when you do some of that, and I bet you ain't got to do what I have to do if you did what you had to do.
Period. What I also gathered from that clip, I do like how Will was finally being her ally, finally being Joan's ally. When that dude was over talking her, and he said, "Wait a minute, Joan has something to say." It takes that. It takes somebody finally being aware, because she had that outburst. Okay, I'm being a trash friend. I'm being a trash, you know, ally. I'm recognizing my privilege, and let me help you share your voice. So that's what I liked about that part. His self-awareness, William's self-awareness.
I wonder, like, why is it that, you know, when we try to break the ice or say something, it's not as well received. You know, she came in and said, you know, she was about to, I backed the Porsche up, and he was like, okay, let's get to work, right? And it kind of reminds me of, like, sometimes when men or people sometimes be shocked that if women know certain things about basketball. Oh, you know, you watch basketball. Oh, you watch football. Am I not supposed to watch those things? And I think that, like, you know, you talk about assets and stuff. I think about how when I was growing up, one of the things my professor used to tell me, it says that, Tiffany, you know, educate yourself in all areas, because you never know what setting and room that you have to be in, that you have to engage in conversations, and how you may have to strike up conversations with other people. And, you know, you want to be able to do it because as a woman, right? In a patriarchal world, you know, and be able to make yourself aware, even if you don't know in depth, you know, you just strike up a conversation. And I just remember asking him, why I got to do that? You know, why do I got to do that? I don't see you out here learning about, you know, certain
hair, black hair.
Right. I'm saying you right here learning about black hair, like how you can engage me in conversation, talk about girlfriends, okay? But I don't watch that show, you know, but why I got to do that, right? And it just irks me because, you know, I see the effort that Joan put in, and it still got overlooked. It still got overlooked.
When I saw that she came back, she apologized. Like, she felt the need that she had to apologize for her actions. I remember being in class with Dr. C, and I can't remember if it was virtual or I think it was one of our virtual sessions. I was speaking, and I said, you know, I'm sorry, or, I'm sorry every time, I felt like I had some more to say. And she stopped just to say, listen, I'm gonna need the Black woman to stop apologizing for wanting to speak.
Yes.
Yep.
And that freed me, that helped me, because you don't even realize it's in our language. Like sometimes when I go back and listen to our podcast or certain things I say, it's in our language. We gotta get rid of some things. We gotta get rid of some things to really be free. So when she came back and she apologized for her emotions, really, what happened if she didn't apologize? Would homeboy have still been there for her by her side? Like she had to basically come down to where they were for them to accept her. And I'm not saying we don't need to apologize sometimes, because sometimes we be wrong. We be wrong. Like you would be wrong sometimes, point blank, period.
Not all the time.
But I think not all the time. We're not wrong, and we do not have to apologize all the time. We don't have to apologize on how we feel because we done walked into these vicious cycles.
Yeah,
we don't always have to apologize for that. And that pissed me off. It was hard for me to get past that. But she apologized, and then he did say, how about we hear her? And it was good. That was good of him. But he needs to do that every time. We do it, the world does it, Black men do it all the time, where we put like a band-aid on things. We put a band-aid and expect it to work like it's supposed to work. Now, if we put a band-aid on, injustice, we put a band-aid on these vicious practices, it's going to work exactly how it should work. But some stuff we got to break up. So it may take that comment of saying, yeah, I heard you, let her speak. And it also may take some further action. Some further action. It's a behavior change. So, we don't know. It's only a 20-minute episode, 25-minute episode. We don't know what happened after that. But I do see what has happened in the world. And it takes courage, and it takes time to do things like that. It does, right? But I think we have to go beyond that. I think about what we went through with this pandemic, right? Well, it's still a pandemic for those who do not know. But the pandemic that we went through, and everyone said, let's go back to normal. Let's go. We got to get back to normal. We got to get outside. And we have to do way better than normal, because there was a lot of corporations, there were a lot of organizations who put a lot out about what they want to do for Black people. Some organizations for Black women. So now I have to ask you this, right? So when you talk about invisibility and seeing Black women and seeing God's children, it matters about who's seeing them. Like, do you see us? Or was it just the email or the discounts and the getting people to buy or work for your company that you really wanted? Like, do you really value us? Or do you just want the money? And then we holding their company on our backs, but we got to apologize. So, we just got to do better than normal. So yes, thank you for speaking up. Thank you. No, not thank you. I'm going to point you to something else you need to speak up about. And I hope the person points to, and I hope point me in a direction too, because there's things that I can't see. Like point me in a direction too, right? Because that's how we get better. But what I'm not going to do is be okay with that one, with just the one thing you say, because I've seen too many people not speak up for Black women.
There you go. There you go, resting your arm on that chair. I was waiting.
I've seen too many people, and I've seen too many seminaries. I've seen too many organizations and schools and churches not speak up for Black women.
Okay.
So unfortunately, this one time is okay, but it's not. You don't get a pat on the back for doing what you messed up.
Right.
So who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What company do you really want to be? And stop lying to people to get them in the door.
I feel like that was just a power move for him. Like, he clearly deserves to be first chair because she has more knowledge of the case than anybody. More insight. She had insight on the judge, insight on what to do, blah, blah, blah. So she needed to be first chair. But that was just a dick move for him. Like, that was a power play. Yeah. Like, I'm going to give you this, but I ain't going to give you all of it. Take this stimulus check. But I ain't gonna raise your wage. You can take this stimulus check.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard to do this.
Right, you still gotta pay your rent. We ain't gonna freeze the rent, but you can take this stimulus check.
You haven't worked hard enough to be treated equal.
Exactly. Work a little harder.
You work a little harder, and then maybe you can get what God created. Just maybe.
Pay rent on this free land, on this stolen land.
Yeah, your ancestors worked this land. Yeah. But you still got to work harder. And we stole the land. First, they stole the land. Like
as they own. And as Pastor Vic would say, did mess around and had a holiday after called it Thanksgiving, so we can ignore what the hell they did.
Right, that's a whole commemoration. They celebrating their ancestors.
They celebrating murderers. Celebrating murderers.
Yep, that's exactly what they said.
And you know what's so crazy? They had us in school like, I pledge allegiance to the flag. Like, they had us celebrating their damn murderers too.
Do you remember when you had to learn to pledge allegiance?
I'm sure. And I used to take that seriously. And can you imagine?
Kindergarten, and we all put our hand over our heart, and I said, what is this? What are we saying? This feels like, it just felt dark to me. I was like, what are we saying?
Did you ever go to vacation Bible school? None of y'all?
I did.
Did y'all ever have to say the Pledge of Allegiance at vacation Bible school at the church?
Oh, no, not at church.
Yo!
Did y'all say it at church?
Yes, I think about that. I'm like, oh no. There's still churches out there doing that.
That's crazy. And if they black church, they ought to be ashamed.
Shame.
Need to be teaching these kids the Black National Anthem. Some of them growing up don't know it. Thinking Jacob's Ladder is the Black National Anthem and stuff.
So when he said that, you're still the second chair, that thing right there, I think we even settle with that. We settle with that often. When we think about how much we get paid, it's close. It's higher than what I got paid.
Worth.
Like that second chair, that second row. People will use the Bible and use all this stuff to justify us being in the second row. And I read, and I don't know who said this, and I will find it and I will put it underneath the video. But someone mentioned that Black women even have to play the second role in death. Breonna Taylor. All of the Black women who have been slaughtered and murdered, broad daylight, at night, at work, with their children. And as soon as someone else is murdered, say it be a Black man, it be someone else, is like, this falls underneath we're second. So that it took me there. And I think we've accepted it.
Know that you're enough. I think that it's important to protect your mind from the labels and stereotypes of society, because I think sometimes that can filter into how we view ourselves. So learn to view yourself as a woman who can go above and beyond. That you're not, as you know, Reverend Palmer say, you're not second place. But when you begin to see yourself and allow people to place you there, then you will begin to position yourself there. So position yourself in first place. Position yourself in where you want to be, no matter what it seems like. You can do it. Period. That's on Mary Had a Little Lamb.
I would say listen to yourself and be okay with what you hear. What you hear. Because what you hear may sound very different from what you have ever heard before. And it's okay to grow. And it's okay to outgrow a space, a job, relationships. It's okay. Because until we really believe it's okay, we will stay in a place so long that we'll walk out and don't even know who we are. So listen to yourself. Listen to yourself.
You are worthy. You're worthy to be heard. You're worthy to be seen. You're worthy to get all the things that you deserve, all of your blessings. You're worthy of it. You're worthy for your emotions. You're worthy for how you react to your emotions. You're worthy for your voice to be heard, even if your emotions is not sweet like honey, but it bites like vinegar. So you're worthy for that. You're still worthy in that moment to be heard. So no matter what, it doesn't even matter if it's not cookie cutter, if it's not pretty, if it's not wrapped in a bow. I would say, yeah, you're worthy.
Go for it, because I didn't talk too much. Y'all can cut me off. Please cut me off. Cut me off.
Now we're not going to cut you off, and we just watched the episode with somebody cutting folks off.
She's about to cut a Black woman off on here. Okay, we're gonna let you talk.
Y'all are funny.
Y'all can cut me off. Wait, no, we're not.
Didn't you learn?
Right.
Oh,
We have to do that.
You a
Because
fool.
what you got to say is important. Thank you, Lord, for just ushering our day and just being so gracious and so kind to us. Thank you for Brittini. Thank you for Tiffany. Thank you for their minds and their spirits and all the gifts that you place inside of them. Lord, actually bless this time and this moment that we're in and this session that we have to just communicate and just unpack and just be our authentic, loving selves. Be in this place. You're already here because you're in us. So thank you, God. And let this be a great time for us to just be and unload. So we pray that someone will be blessed by this, even if it's just one person. You're still getting the glory out of it. So thank you.